alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This is the citation of our facilitator and speaker, Dr. Jubril Salaudeen. Bismillah. Dr. Jubril Salaudeen is currently a director with CityServe Limited. Before then, he was the chief operating officer at CityServe Limited from 2009 to 2019. He was also the assistant general manager, business development and Superflux at Superflux International from February 2007 to February 2009. Dr. Jubril Salaudeen has the overall strategic and operational responsibility for all projects in CityServe Limited. He also manages a group of projects with 2 decades of professional career and strong background in selling, marketing, finance, and governance. He attended University of Gloucestershire, where he bagged a master's degree in banking, finance and management, Islamic finance. Thereafter, he proceeded to Al Madina International University in Malaysia, where he undertook a Doctor of Philosophy in Finance and Management. He later bagged a PhD in finance and with emphasis on financial inclusion, agricultural finance, Islamic financing, and SME financing. Dr. Jubril Salaudeen also attended the prestigious Lagos Business School Senior Management Program. He's a member of a member of Islamic Finance Professionals, also a fellow in Nigerian Institute of Management. Dr. Jubril Salaudeen volunteers in different organizations and he has been a director of projects at MPAC since 2009 till now. MPAC is an organization which focuses on poverty alleviation among Muslims. Dr. Jubril Salaudeen is multilingual and is able to speak 5 different languages. He can speak Arabic, English, Fulfulde, Hausa, and Yoruba. Dr. Jubril Salaudeen has delivered several papers in areas on Islamic microfinance in Nigeria, Islamic microfinance and agricultural finance, entrepreneurial development, Islamic microfinance prospects and challenges in West Africa, global Islamic microfinance profile, practical ways of poverty alleviation, financial intelligence for startup, Islamic finance opportunities for African investors, debt management in Islam, deposit and investment products in Islam, sustainable financial empowerment in Islam. I introduce to every one of us our speaker and facilitator. We are happy to have in our midst a man with erudite and such vast knowledge, Dr. Jubril Salaudeen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحابه ومن اتبعه بالإحسان إلى يوم الدين وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
First of all, I want to thank you for giving me opportunity to be here this morning, but to say that I'm a lecturer where people like Sheikh Adilakon are seated, and a lot of my elder brothers here, I think is not true. I'm actually a student, and I will continue to learn from them for a very, very, very long time to come. So this morning I will not be lecturing anything. I will only be discussing very few ideas with us based on the topic that we have chosen, and inshallah we'll make it as interactive as possible so that we can all look back and say what area do we need to have improvement in. May Allah guide us and make this easy. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. The chairman, sir, and honorable members of the Association of Muslim Professionals of Nigeria, the topic before us this morning, Islamic finance in Nigeria, economic contribution and development. This is actually if you ask me, a postgraduate study topic. But this is something that we will try and do within 1.5 hours. And in so doing, we have to be a little bit fast about it, and I have to cut out quite a number of stuff. But then we'll try to delve into as much as we can this morning to see what we're able to cover. And we pray Allah to grant us the barakah of this. Ameen. Bismillah. So the outline are this simple. We'll look at the global Islamic economy, the Islamic finance industry, the global Islamic finance, the Nigerian economy, history of Islamic finance in Nigeria very briefly, the component of Islamic finance in Nigeria, and how do we stimulate the economy in Nigeria using Islamic finance. Then we conclude. Pictorially, this is the global Islamic economy. And today, it is a huge economy. It is a growing economy, okay? Because it's represented by a 2 trillion of consumer sector spend. And it represents 3.6 trillion US of Islamic finance assets in 2021, a 7.8% year-on-year growth from 2021 to 2022, and is divided into Islamic finance, halal food, cosmetics, modest fashion, travels, that is halal travel, media and recreation, as well as pharmaceutical. This is expected to hit a 2.8 trillion US by 2025. So if you look at this, you will see that all of these industries are actually at their infancy. And this presents both an opportunity for people who want to go into this kind of areas, from Islamic finance to halal food, to cosmetics, to modest fashion, to halal travel, to halal media and recreation, and to halal pharmaceuticals. So what is Islamic finance? So this morning, the only part of the entire diagram that I showed you earlier that we'll be looking at is the Islamic finance part of it. In Nigeria, we call it the non-interest finance. Of course, we all know the story of how we got to this name. When we have people from other religions kicking, particularly the Christians, saying that they don't want to have anything called Islam in the financing. So we had to come back and have a middle of the course. And that's when we had a non-interest finance. And this represents a financial system that is based on universal financial approach and regulated by the Sharia. So what makes it distinct? It is distinct because, one, it accommodates every human being. Secondly, it is distinct because it is regulated not only by the law of the land, but also by the Sharia. And there are cardinal points in it that must be enthroned before a system becomes Sharia compliant. One, it will not recognize riba, which is interest in all its form, be it simple, compound, or complex. Two, it does not take garar, excessive uncertainty. Three, it doesn't take maisir, which is gambling, and it doesn't take anything that is haram, which is prohibited. So it comprises, Islamic finance comprises of banking, takaful, which is insurance, asset management, pension administration, investment banking, health insurance, microfinance, waqf, which is endowment, zakat, which is the poor due, and sadaqah, which is a gift. It is also growing swiftly from a low base on the back of strong financial push, including from newly established Islamic banks. So this is helping the regulators are helping across the globe to ensure that Islamic finance is pushed to make meaning to the development of the jurisdiction, the different countries. It has challenges. It has helped to build, in part of its advantage is that it has helped to fund a lot of infrastructure around the world. It is also resilient, a lot more resilient to conventional as compared to conventional financing when at turbulent time. The challenges include limited Islamic banking footprint and low public awareness of Islamic finance products. We will go into all of those later as we go along. So if we do a breakdown globally, this is what Islamic finance represents globally. Globally, we have about, in terms of Islamic banking, assets, 266.1 is in Asia, 704.8 is in the GCC region, MENA and ex-GCC region has 440, Africa, ex-North Africa, excluding North Africa, has 13.2, and other part of the world has 47.1. In terms of Sukuk, Asia has 323.2, while GCC region has 187.9, MENA and the ex-GCC has 0.3, Africa excluding North Africa has 2.5, another part of the world has 16.5. In Islamic fund assets, this is how we behave. And in Takaful, of course, Asia has 4.1, GCC has 11.7, MENA excluding the GCC has 10.3, and Africa excluding North Africa has 0.01. And so when you look at the total Islamic banking assets, this is the way they line up from region to region. 617.6 in Asia, GCC 727, MENA excluding ex-GCC has 550.9, Africa excluding North Africa has 17.2, other has 76.1, and that makes up the total. So when you look at African market, African market is actually a brownfield. So it means it's still emerging and a lot needs still to be done in terms of what we do in Africa, looking at Islamic finance. Now, when you look at Islamic banking, share in total banking assets, this is the way we lined up. And you can see Nigeria there on number 5 to the bottom. You can't even be able to point out what we're doing in terms of the dots. So if you represent it globally, that is how we are. We are so tiny, very difficult to see. You probably need a microscope to check it out. But you can see Iran, you can see Sudan before the war, and you can see Brunei, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Malaysia, Qatar, UAE, Bangladesh, and you see how the countries have lined up, and you see what we are doing, because we're actually a late entrant into this field. And the reason why we're late entrant, you will also see it. And this is how globally the product have contributed to Islamic financing. Islamic banking with 71.7%, Sukuk with 24.2%, Islamic fund with 2.8%, and Takaful with 1.3%. Now, we can also look around the world and see what has been the distribution of the pie. If you look at the distribution of the pie, you see Saudi Arabia still is having 20.2%, Iran 32.1%, others have 1.7%, Brunei 0.5%, Oman 0.7%, Jordan 0.7%, Egypt 0.6%, Pakistan 1.3%, Sudan 0.7%, Bahrain 0.7%, Indonesia 1.9%, Bangladesh 1.9%, Turkey 2.6%, Qatar 6.2%, Kuwait 6.3%, Malaysia 10.8%, and UAE 9.8%. So Nigeria, you will ask, where are we? We're in the orders of that 1.7%. Now, let's come back home. Now, you cannot discuss finance in isolation. You have to discuss finance relative to the economy of the country. So this is Nigeria in a glance. Lending rate today in the bank, in the conventional bank, is 28%. This morning, the crude oil sold for $97.31 per barrel. The currency depreciation, naira to dollar, is 989 naira to the dollar in the alternative markets. And you have consumer confidence has gone down by 17.8%. Inflation has climbed by 21.5%. Unemployment has gone up by 33%. We are also the 6th ranking in the world in terms of terrorism. And we are 131 of 190 in the ease of doing business. So this is our economic scorecard. If you want to have a snapshot of the Nigerian economy in terms of scorecard, this is what we are. Now, so we need to then ask ourselves, if you have a scorecard like this, what kind of economy do you think you're going to have? I guess we all know the answer. So again, I try to go further to do a pestle to see an analysis of this economy further. You say, okay, so if we have an economy like this, what does it represent? Politically, where our election is always like a war. Socially, we have high Muslim population with budding demand for halal finance products, huge youth demography. Their energy can be very useful, can also be very dangerous. If you don't tap into it, it can be very destructive. And we saw that in the End SARS campaign, and we narrowly averted that in one of these musicians that also died in Ikorodu and the rest, Mohab, or what was it called? Poor savings culture and low purchasing power. We're increasing in the ECG compliance, increased awareness of eco-friendly and renewable energy, and technology high digital exclusion, though increasing digital literacy across the population with a significant increase in mobile phone and internet penetration. Potential next generation financial technology on the back of AI, artificial intelligence, and ML. Cybersecurity is a major concern for financial institutions. If you follow the news, you see that a lot of them have been hit. Legal regulation oversight on anti-money laundering and combating financial terrorism to financial institutions. A lot of financial crime find their home in Nigeria, and so it doesn't make us a good place to go for investments. Sorry. We also look at our financial inclusion data. Excuse me. Over 99% of the account holders in Nigeria have a balance less than 500,000 naira. And there are 133.3 million active bank accounts in Nigeria. Only 1% of Nigerians have accounts above 500,000 naira. So if you check your account and you discover you have more than 500,000 naira, you are one of these 1%. Every other person have account balance less than 1% in Nigeria. So only 99% of Nigerians actually have their account balance less than up to 500,000 naira. Only 1% have 500,000 naira and above in their bank balance. Now, when we have service failure, which we've experienced, we need to bring it into bear, because everything that is happening in our economy did not just start today. They have antecedents. And so where are the antecedents? These are the antecedents. Service failure with the last government, terrible service failure, where we don't have access to cash. The GDP declined $18 million monthly. And we have 120 hours, man-hour lost in a month. And so this becomes very, very catastrophic. We even found people who went into banking hall and they were removing their dresses. They were removing their clothes because they don't have access. They even have money in their account, but they can't buy food in their home. So we did this small survey at the Nungo Business School. And what we try to do is to find out what is the aspirations of Nigeria, particularly those people who earn meager income. People who earn 30,000 naira, and people who earn, in Uganda, people who earn 6,000 Ugandan dollar. And this is what we found. People who earn 30,000 naira would tell them, where do you want to live if your economic condition changes? And you will guess what their aspiration level is. It's so high. They want to live in Banana Island. And we'll ask them, what kind of car do you want to drive? And they want to drive Bugatti. So you can see that even the poor people have huge aspirations in Nigeria. Very huge aspiration is what they have. So that makes it difficult because ethics will ordinarily fly out of the window. People who are supposed to be honest will try to cut corner, and because they want to live a kind of life that their income cannot match. Nigeria is among the fastest growing market globally for champagne and private jets. There are at least 138 private jets registered in the country, according to Bombardier. And with others, people have also placed orders for 12 more from the company alone this year. And Nigeria is one of the countries in the world where very expensive drinks are bought and drunk. So this is how Nigerians spend their money. A lot of the people spend their money on betting, gambling. So casino was projected to bring in a total of $49 million in revenue and expected to raise to 62 million by 2018. That was the initial projection. However, it has gone past that. The Lagos State Lottery Board issued over 40 licenses to operators in 2017. On average, punters spend around 3,000 naira every day to bet. They spend 3,000 naira every day to bet. So roughly, we have about 60 million Nigerians between the age of 18 and 40 who are involved in active sport betting every day. And at least 2 billion naira is spent on sport betting daily in Nigeria, totaling 730 million naira annually. Sorry, 730 billion naira annually. We are gradually becoming a gambling nation. Now, this is the poverty that you find around Muslims in Nigeria. We constitute the largest number of destitute and beggars, occasioned by Boko Haram, drought, kidnapping, cattle rustling, culture that forbids women from working, unemployment, education. For every 10 Muslims that enroll with other non-Muslims in primary school, they graduate 8 to 8, so 100%. In secondary school, we drop to 6 to 8, and in the university, we drop to 2 to 4. Our financial education is also very poor. So the number of out-of-school children in Nigeria has risen to 20 million despite government intervention to spend 1 billion naira, which is about 2.3 million US. Now, but amidst of all of this is what we found. We found a lot of Nigerians leaving the country, the Japa syndrome, which we all know about. But we also found out that Indians, Chinese, and Lebanese are doubling their populations in Nigeria. So what does this tell us? Is it that they are seeing something we are not seeing? What could this be? Are they seeing something that we cannot see? Chinese investment in Nigeria is also growing. They've grown their investments to 17% in Nigeria as compared to other African countries. So we've tried to take a look at the economy of the Islamic finance in the world, economy of Nigeria at the background. So on the basis of that, we can now build Islamic banking in Nigeria. Islamic banking is not new in Nigeria. It's not. Our parents, may Allah forgive them, those who are gone, those who are alive, may Allah continue to increase their health. They did a lot of work. They started the Muslim Bank West Africa that operated from William Street in 1953. That bank was closed down in 1962 by Obafemi Awolowo. They don't want to have anything called Muslim Bank, and we have evidence of their transactions. Two other banks were granted provisional license in 1992, but neither of the license bank lasted long. Also, we knew that Habib Bank of Nigeria was granted license to operate banking windows, Islamic banking window, in 1996, but due to information and absence of framework for non-interest banking, it could not register significant success. Of course, in 2011, November 2011, Jais Bank was granted a license to operate a non-interest bank. Amidst what they've seen as opportunity, large population, over 170 million, large Muslim population, large number of informal business, banks and clients are seeking innovation. They want to fill or create, they want to fill gap created by defect in interest banking, because a lot of Muslims are saying that they are excluded from the banking sector because of interest. That can be contested today. Increasing disposable income, lack of formal employment, and increasing global acceptance of Islamic finance. And at inception, this was the shareholding structure of Jais Bank. Now, sorry, somebody's talking. Is it a question, please? If it's a question, I can't hear it, please. Maybe you type it. I can hear some sound. I don't know whether it's a question. Okay, so the market size. This is what the Nigerian Islamic finance industry is estimated to be 2.9 billion US as at 2022, end of 2022. And we have an outstanding sukuk being the largest segment. The sukuk constitutes 57%, followed by Islamic banking, which constitutes 42% total assets. And the remaining 1% is between Islamic fund, total assets, and takaful contribution. So the long-term potential is significant, as Nigeria is the largest Muslim population in Africa with a large unbanked population. The population of the Muslims in Nigeria that are unbanked is quite high. So this is a snapshot of the Nigerian Islamic banking system. This is a snapshot. The banks, we have Jais Bank, Taj Bank, Lotus Bank, and now Alternative Bank instead of Sterling Bank. They are now Alternative Bank, as well as Sun Trust Bank that has a window. 5 Takaful Company, African Alliance, No Takaful, Cornerstone, Salam Takaful, and Jais Takaful. We have 7 halal ethical fund managers: Lotus, Marble, Stanbic, FBN Crest, ARM Investment, United Capital, and Quantum Zenith. And there's an 8th now, which is Bankato. We have 4 Islamic Microfinance Bank, Al-Baraka, Tijara, Al-Hayat, and Giginya. We have several other microfinance banks that also offer Islamic products. We have a real estate, a REIT, real estate investment trusts by Lotus. They were able to raise $52 million in investment. And we've had 5 sukuk till date. 4 are listed here. The 5th one was not listed here. And this sukuk will deal with them as we go along. The Islamic banking asset has shown a 71% increase year in, year out up till 2022, first half of 2022, they've shown a 71% year in, year out growth. Islamic banking also held 0.8 market share of the total banking industry asset. So if you put all the banks in Nigeria together, all the assets of all the banks in Nigeria together, the Islamic bank is less than 1%. So if you spell banking as a word, the dot on the I is Islamic banking. The Islamic bank have small capital base and a limited distribution network. To get some of the branches, you have to sweat. So their distribution network is limited. Their capital base is also small. And their deposit collection was limited to only 0.4% of the total industry deposits. So if you look at the total deposit across the industry in Nigeria, banking industry, the Islamic sector or the non-interest bank sector only witnessed 0.4%. So really what we're discussing is something that is very tiny. What we're discussing this morning is something that is very, very tiny. We'll look at why they are tiny. We'll also look at what we can do to contribute to it. There was a research that were carried out in collaboration with us, Nungu Business School, by BUK. Part of the research for Southwestern Nigeria was coordinated by us. And one of the amazing things we saw in that report is that people who responded to the survey indicate that if the Muslims who responded to the survey indicates that they have small amount of money in the Islamic banks, while the greater proportion of their money is actually lying in some conventional banks. Of course, the Islamic banks, which we call non-interest bank, has gotten a lot of support from the Central Bank of Nigeria. They've given them more favorable prudential requirements that are supporting their growth. The Central Bank has also set the regulation liquidity ratio for Islamic bank at 10%, much lower than the conventional bank, which is at 30%. CBN also grant Islamic bank 50% alpha factor, which is a discount in the calculation of risk-weighted assets, but none to conventional bank. So this provides a sizable uplift to Islamic bank, the capital ratio, and this allowed the Islamic bank to capture market share with less capital constraint on growth. Yet, they still are not able to do what is expected. JAIS received a capital ratio uplift of 570 BP at the end of 2022, first quarter of 2022, due to this discount. So the Islamic liquidity infrastructure is one of the major challenges. There are no enough liquidity instruments in the markets. No enough liquidity instrument in the markets. And they don't also have viable risk partners. Let me start breaking down this thing I'm saying so that I'm not talking to myself. Okay, so when I said they don't have liquidity management infrastructure, I mean that if the bank have cash in their midst, in their hand, they have cash in their hand, they don't have instrument they can invest in. They don't have instrument like the conventional bank will invest money into treasury bills, commercial paper, promissory notes. They don't have that. They have to keep cash. And that was why you always see that anytime there's a sukuk, the sukuk is overflowed because the commercial bank, that is the only thing the Islamic bank can quickly go and put their money into. If they don't do that, the money will just be lying idle. In one of the assignments that we did, we had a multilateral organization that wanted to give money to Islamic banks in Nigeria. And Islamic banks told us that they don't have trusted business people that they can give the money to. So they rejected the money. So those are what I call credible risk partners. The takaful industry, the takaful share, I mean, if you look at the insurance industry where the takaful company operates, the penetration in Nigeria of insurance is so poor. It's less than 3%. Total penetration is less than 3%. In fact, some have argued that total penetration of insurance in Nigeria is 1%. So when you look at that and look at the total number of insurance companies, you see that the penetration is so poor. That is where the takaful company are now operating. Operating there even makes them worse because we don't understand what the regulators are doing in that sector. We don't understand it at all. The highest selling insurance product in Nigeria is third-party motor vehicle insurance. And it is not the insurance company that are selling it. It is the police. They are the one that will search you and say, where's your insurance? I don't know how many of you have noticed that when you drive on the street of Lagos these days, you find a lot of vehicles without plate numbers. Once the insurance has expired, they take off the plate numbers so the camera cannot pick them. So it's actually the law enforcement that is selling it, not the insurance company. And that is where the takaful company are playing. So the takaful company, of that 1%, if you gross it up to 100%, their own penetration is 0.4% as of 2021. Now, you now have a regulator that has seen an industry with such a low penetration and now increasing price. So we're all confused. We don't understand what the operator is trying to do. Increasing the price of a product that is not doing well. Things that you need the police to sell, you are now increasing the price. So what we're seeing in the industry now is that we're seeing a lot of fake insurance particulars, fake insurance certificates are coming up. People who are using comprehensive are downsizing their insurance to third party. In the mutual fund industry, these are the list of the mutual fund industries in Nigeria. I have them in about 2 or 3 slides. And you can see that FBN Quest, for instance, which is an asset management company, also have some good portfolio of Islamic financing in them. Same for Chapel Hill, same for ARM, and Lotus Capital there on number 9. And their ranking is there. You can see their ranking and how everybody plays. So we are seeing a lot of vibrancy in asset management, but we're not seeing the money. Okay, so Sukuk. So the Nigerian Islamic finance industry maintained growth trajectory in 2023, 2024 on the back of government Sukuk issuance. The federal government issued a lot of Sukuk. You remember there was a lot of noise when they were to issue the Sukuk and the rest. Today, we have, I'm sure 1 or 2 of us or a number of us must have driven through a road with the Sukuk money being used to fund it. So Nigerian housed the largest Sukuk market in Africa with an outstanding issuance of $755.5 billion, which is $1.6 billion. I bet, but this is extremely small when you compare it to the global standard. This is very, very tiny. We've had one quasi-Sukuk issuance by Osun State government. Apparently, they were the first people to issue the Sukuk in Nigeria. It was a quasi-Sukuk by state government during the Aregbesola-led administration in Osun State. We've seen the sovereign Sukuk, 5 issuance, sovereign Sukuk, and we've seen 6 private Sukuk issuance. So in 2022, the federal government of Nigeria issued 7-year Sukuk ranging from 130 billion. Its 5th issuance was 2017 with above, which has 1.6x subscription. The SEC is aiming to make Nigeria the hub in Africa for Islamic capital market product. as part of the government revised plan for 2021-2025. So SEC is targeting 50 listing Sharia compliant product with market capitalization of 5 trillion naira, which will be about 11 billion US by 2025. Taj Bank also launched a sukuk, a Moraba sukuk of 100 billion naira, which is 222 million US in 2022 to raise tier 2 capital. Now, these are issues in Islamic industry. This is where how far they fared. These are the challenges that we have seen, and these are advice to the industry. One, awareness is very low. Awareness is extremely low. Awareness of Islamic finance in Nigeria is very, very low. A survey captured it at only 3%. So we don't know what the advertising agency and the rest of them are doing in this regard to actually help create awareness in the Islamic finance industry. Reaching the unreached is difficult. At first, they look at Muslims who are unbanked and what they'll be able to do with them. Today, they are going into the red ocean to go and compete. They are not coming up with technological innovation. It's very poor. Product innovation, very poor. They are allowing, the Islamic industry allowing Islamic scholars to dictate the pace. These are Islamic scholars who have never played in the market before. They've never done any business before. They've never worked in finance industry before. Some of them don't even study anything called finance, and they want to tell the way the finance should go. It's creating a lot of trouble. There's a need for development of liquidity management infrastructure, cash reserve ratio, promissory note and stuff. All of them needs to come in. And we need to have people looking at those things and developing this instrument that will enable us to capture the opportunity and compete well in the market. Embrace of technology needs to be done. We are all living witness to see what technology has done to the financial space in Nigeria. And we go to our banks. We did a mystery shopping 3 weeks ago to open an account with one of the banks. It is 3 weeks today. The account has not been opened. You can open an account today in one of the conventional banks in 6 hours. Poor customer service. And you know we are Sharia compliant. If you are Sharia compliant, does it mean that you must have poor customer service? The customer service needs to go up. We need to up the ante in the customer service area. Unnecessary waiting time. Capitalization is low. You need to come up. Too much emphasis on theology. Not on customer service, not on product innovation. All emphasize we are Sharia compliant. We're Sharia compliant. Sharia compliant alone does not foot the bill. And they need to have quality workforce developments. The rate and experience and knowledge of the workforce is still very poor. Now, we take a look at the financial inclusion data quickly. Let me pause for 1 minute so you take a look at this. Okay, so this is the financial inclusion data from 2010 to 2020, and this is how we have fared in terms of how our population is included or excluded from the financial nets. Now, this is the national data. However, if you look at specifically data that relates to where the Muslims have the largest of population, we are much poorer than this. Our financial inclusion, especially in northern part of the country, is worst. Is worst. There are issues of infrastructure, culture, self-exclusion, and access. for us to stimulate the economic growth, the country will need, the Islamic finance industry need to look at embracing innovative technology and look at business that also embrace technology and look at how to upskill them. As a country, we can bolster productivity and improve domestic and global competitiveness and faster economic growth if we look at our investment into MSMEs. We also need to look at areas that are sustainable, and Nigeria can leverage a compelling portfolio of competitive investment, great product and social investment program to access and deploy financial resources in support of sustainable development initiatives. It is not good that today we import almost everything, and that is why there are so much pressure on the Naira. We need to put a lot of pressure getting dollars to do almost everything that we're doing. At the on-season, Nigeria almost threw away tomatoes. At the off-season, a basket of tomato in Lagos State goes for as much as 55,000 naira. We need to harness the human capital as well. Knowledge, skill, ability, and health of citizens is a crucial resources that drives productivity, innovation, and sustainable development. So Nigeria faces significant barrier to effective harnessing its human capital. So we also need to look at reforming the public institutions. So the state of the Nigerian public institution play a crucial role in driving social economy. To get ease of doing business is getting a back seat for us. In the ranking, we are backward. Issue of taxation, tax reform, a lot of challenges that we need to do a lot of institutional reform on, requires attention. Even academics, academics and practice are on different lane. They are not meeting. You take a fresh graduate and put into a job, you're going to meet disaster. So you need to retrain them all over again for whatever job you want them to do. So our educational system, educational curriculum also needs to be looked into. Above all, we need national cohesion and inclusion. A lot of people feel as if Nigeria is not their country. In fact, they are ready to destroy anything that belongs to Nigeria. So we need to promote a strong national vision, identity, and share the value that serve as the foundation of social contract and compact is essential for fostering a sense of belonging, ensuring equal right and opportunity for all citizens, and addressing social divisions. So in conclusion, Islamic finance is ethical. Islamic finance is fair and balanced. Islamic finance is more stable. Islamic finance contributes towards the mobilization of idle funds and encouragement of savings. It contributes towards the investment of idle fund and mobilizing savings. It contributes towards job creation of new jobs. It contributes towards increase in gross domestic product, and it contributes towards growth and development because most of the products are actually asset-led and asset-backed. So on this note, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity, and I look forward to questions that we could discuss further, if any. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullahu khair. Jazakumullahu khair. Jazakumullahu khair wa taqabbalallahu minna wa minkum. Where's the moderator? Brother Hassan.
We have some questions on the chat already. And I can see Sister Akinwale raising up her hand. I think we can take our first.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First, I would like to appreciate our ESCO for bringing up this topic, and to our brother for the exhaustive presentation. I pray that Allah rewards everyone abundantly, and more importantly, put us in a position to chart a course, because this lecture will be of no use if at the end of the day there is no call to action. The people that will drive change are never many. You only need a few people with concerted effort. And for me, from all the presentation and from what I know, I think there are just two issues that we have. For us to get Islamic finance competing favorably well, if not better than the conventional bank in Nigeria. The first one is competency. Majority of people that are even operating Islamic banking, as it were, are not so competent. I was at a lecture, and I think some of us in this gathering will also be there. The Sister Zindin Ramadan lecture of last year, where Brother Dekirlai from Unilag came to talk to us about Islamic finance, the challenges and everything. And at the moment, from what he said at that time, the people pushing Islamic finance now are not Muslims. The head of that department, where he even belongs, for them to get the buy-in, is a Christian who went out to study, did everything, and came back. So they're comfortable with saying it's non-interest, not Islamic. But alhamdulillah, we don't have problem with that. Say non-interest, say whatever. All we know is all the principles you are implementing are Islamic finance. So if you have just very few people that are knowledgeable, which speaks to what he was saying in terms of the Sharia board, because a typical Islamic institution will have a Sharia board that would guide those that would operate. You should have competent people operating, that you have a Sharia board that ensures they are doing everything in line with the standard. So first, how do we close the gap in competency? And each and every one of us, from what he said, you really don't have so much requirement to go in for the program. So how do we encourage people to go in there? In fact, he painted a very painful situation that even in terms of patronage, some of the Islamic finance houses, most of the customers are even the Igbos in Alaba and the rest of this. You and I, we cannot. Why? The second issue, trust. There is lack of trust amongst Muslims. We don't even trust ourselves. We know ourselves, even among ourselves, when we do business, we're not truthful to ourselves. There was a property development that was started way back in 2003 or thereabout. It was supposed to be an Islamic estate, blah, blah, blah. It was started, a number of people participated. Then they were putting ridiculous clauses. No one will come and ask the committee cost. Whatever they present will be taken in Islamic faith because it is a feasibility. Just rubbish that will not hold in business. So a number of people, including myself, pulled out. So we need to bring in trust. We need to bring in transparency. And I think it is that trust that speaks to the survey that the lecturer indicated, that he did a survey, and you have majority of Muslims saying that, look, I have more of my money in the conventional bank than the Islamic bank. Why is it so? Because the few Islamic banks too, they're actually not doing Islamic banking. That's astaghfirullah. I've known of people that wanted to take loan from Jaiz, and they look at the conditions and I think they say, oh, so what's the difference between this and the conventional? I'd rather go to conventional that is very straightforward. At least I know the devil straight from the beginning, as opposed to putting things. And it's the same thing. I work in insurance industry. My company is the first to set up reinsurance takafu, re-takafu in Africa, Africa re-takafu. based in Cairo. Their trust is lacking. The global Ritakafo business, whether in MENA, wherever, they are losing money. They are losing money because majority of them are doing Mudaraba. And what does Mudaraba say? You have an operator that puts in his money. So he's doing the business. Those that are participants, they will only come in when there is a big loss that needs to be supported. When the business is good, it's fine because the operator is able to run, get its fees and do everything. But the moment there is a big loss that the participants are not required to contribute, they don't. Anywhere, not just Nigeria. And that's why you see most of if you do the history of Takafo companies, you see after 4 or 5 years, it will wind up, then create another one. So it's not encouraging people, and people outside the fold of Islam, they see it as actually lacking integrity. So for us locally, if you want to develop, because I've had very interesting as Nigeria projecting itself to be the hub for Africa, or what maybe for sub-Saharan Africa, because the North Africa region, they're more organized, and despite that, the loss is there. So for me, the takeaway for us as a group, if we really want to push this, is to consciously prepare our people to be well informed. I don't think Islamic banking or even insurance is not popular. Cornerstone did a lot in terms of sensitizing the public, but the issue is on trust. So if we're able to address, and it is something that we all know, but hopefully and truthfully, I believe if we're able to set up a team to focus on those two areas and working with those that are already in the business. The problem is also that those were not open. Even people that are there, again, Dr. Dekrula then asserted that as well. You are closing yourself up on something that you are not even good at. Instead of opening up, collaborate, share ideas, and get us to that level that can make us, because the truth of the matter is, even people that are non-Muslims, they appreciate that Islamic banking is ideal. And that's why they are fighting it, because they know the moment people buy into it, it will tactically kill the conventional banking rather. But they don't want it because, again, they benefit from it. So those are my immediate contribution. Thank you very much again, the lecturer and the EXCO.
Thank you very much. Maybe the lecturer can respond to that before we take others, or do we take all of them? Dr. Salaudeen.
Yes, I thank you. I listened to the sister. The comments are good, and they speak to the topic. Just a few things that I need to quickly point out here. The Islamic banking in Nigeria are doing Islamic bank properly, the way it should be done. Same for the Takaful company. That I can tell you clearly. They are doing it properly, the way it should be done. Now, there are regulations from jurisdiction to jurisdiction that are not the same. The Central Bank of Nigeria in its regulation, as well as NICOM in its regulation to the Takaful industry and insurance industry in Nigeria, the CBN says that banks must not lose depositors' money. It is clearly written, so that people don't come back and say, you know, I'm doing Islamic bank, I've done Mudaraba, so we didn't make money in the business, your money is gone. The CBN does not take that. The regulation from the side of the CBN is that if you cannot make profit, you must return their money back to them. You can't come back and tell us you have lost their money. So that regulation is very clear. Same thing for the insurance industry. You can't collect people's money and come back to them and tell them no story. Their regulators are very clear. And these regulations are unique to us because they know the kind of people that we are as Nigerians. And regulation has to make sure that the majority of the people are protected. So that is very, very important and very clear. In terms of people who are taking advantage of the Islamic finance industry, particularly the banking industry, in terms of getting credit to fund their business. Now, people have said these comments to me, and I've listened to it in many forums, and I will just laugh, that hey, it is only the Omoibo that are taking advantage of it. I said, so who are the business people in Nigeria now? They are the ones, they are the entrepreneurs. So it is entrepreneurs that will take advantage of it. You can't expect somebody who is not an entrepreneur to go and take money for business. What will he do with it? The bulk of us that are not entrepreneurs, you can't approach an Islamic bank and say, I want to do business. They must see the profile. They must see what you have done. There must be an history that has been created. And it is on the basis of that they start looking at your documentation to say, okay, do we advance credit to you? What do we give to you? What do we not give to you? In terms of rates, that has also been spoken about. The fact that it is Islamic does not mean that it is cheap or it is free. It is not. In fact, in some of the instruments, the fact that it is Islamic makes it more expensive. Yes, I can say that clearly. The fact that it is Islamic in some instrument makes it even more expensive, but it is Sharia compliant. So we need to take cognizance of all of those. Now, this issue that the largest people who deposit money with Islamic banks are non-Muslim is a propaganda. It's a propaganda that has been whipped up to whip up sentiments. The last part is somebody said, how do we make credit available? That's on the chat. How do we make credit available faster to the Muslim than the conventional bank? There is nobody that grants credit in a hurry. Nobody does it. No bank grants credit in a hurry. You must scrutinize. You must check. There is an acronym that is used in financial institution. It is called CAMEL. Now, you must fulfill those requirements plus other requirements before money is advanced to you as a credit, because you don't want to lose people's money. If you lose people's money, the same people who are saying that you don't have speed will tell you, we are not in this business to lose money. Why did you lose our money? So in terms of speed, no, it's not going to be speedy. It's going to take a while because investigation will be done and to ensure that those money are not given to people who actually go in and play with other people's money. In fact, when you have the speed, you still lose money. There are situations, and we know, if you check the final account of banks, you will see bad debts, bad loans, and these are very difficult for banks to recover them. So we must not forget that these banks are also businesses. They are not owned by charity organizations. They are owned by people who have invested into them and they want their returns as well. The competency gap.
Okay.
The competency gap that we spoke about. This is time for all organizations like the Association of Muslim Professionals. You have a mission board, you have missioners. This is a time for you to start spending money on your missioners, to start exposing them to trainings so that they become Sharia advisors. You need to put money down on it. There's an international organization that do the certification. We provide training in Nungo Business School for them, and they're doing the international exams. It's called IOFI, Accounting and Auditing of Islamic Financial Institution. And there's a Sharia compliance exams that they need to pass. It's not cheap. You have to provide them with this opportunity so that they can do it. Also, in terms of competence, this is a time we need to look in. An association like yours, that is Association of Professionals, you need to start looking at how do we sense our younger ones, that are our children in universities who are taking this business and business-related courses, or banking and investment-related courses, to go and do attachment in areas where they've been able to attain skills. And so they can come in with different experience from those areas. They can do a 1-year internship there, and they can come back. Instead of us having, I laugh at us as a nation. Instead of us having big border Nigeria, why don't we have a fund at the other end that is looking at these younger people in areas, in jurisdictions where Islamic finance has developed, and they can go and learn for a year and come back into our country, and we can have a working relationship with them. So those are my response for now.
Okay, I think we can call this the same another person. Imam Onusabi, please, you can take the floor.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Salam wa
I want
rahmatullahi
to
wa
join
barakatuh.
others to thank Dr. Salaudeen for that lecture. In the course of the lecture, you mentioned one particular thing. That is the absence of innovative products in the Islamic finance industry. I don't know whether this applies to all jurisdictions where Islamic banking is operating right now all over the world, or is it peculiar to Nigeria? If it is peculiar to Nigeria, what can we say is personal for this? Is it that we are not thinking outside the box? Because the future belongs to people who are innovative. Of course, for the finance industry, it relies, the money is just not kept in their fault. It is when you bring out the money for people through products that you enhance your capital base. I don't know what is the problem with us. So I want you to please elaborate on this. Is it peculiar to Nigeria, or is it general? If it's peculiar to Nigeria, then why are we not learning from other jurisdictions to see what the products are available and how we can import it to Nigeria? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So I guess if I get the question very well, is that the area of innovation, is it peculiar to us, or do we find that in other jurisdictions? Am I right, sir?
The absence of innovative products.
Okay, absence of innovative product. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
you mentioned that the card,
I get that. Thank you, sir.
And that the particular person who wanted to bring money in an institution wanted
Yes.
to bring money to them there, and they said no, because they can't find available, things to do with the money.
Yes. I think the absence of innovative products in this regard is more of our own challenge. We are not thinking outside of the box. What we're busy doing is that we are copying products from other jurisdictions, and we're coming to do copy and paste without looking at the peculiarity of our own people and the peculiarity of our own type of businesses. If you look at businesses in Nigeria, which of course banking focuses on, particularly in the private sector, the businesses in Nigeria are majority, 80 to 90%, by the Federal Office of Statistics, Bureau for Statistics. 80 to 90% of businesses in Nigeria are in the micro, medium, and small business areas. So we need to develop product for this type of people. How do we develop product for this type of people? The average person that fits, today, if you look at southwestern Nigeria, you go to the market and look at the people who trade in the market and look at their working capital. The woman who probably sell vegetable in the market, the entire working capital is not more than 15,000 to 20,000 naira, or even less. How do we develop a banking product for this kind of people? If a funding program for this kind of people, we need a way out. I can tell you another one from research. We spoke, one of the World Bank project that we did, the multilateral organization was trying to give money to one of the Islamic banks in Nigeria. And we spoke to the Islamic bank, and they said to us, no, we're not interested in money for MSMEs. We're interested in bulk money that we'll just give to one big enterprise, and that's all. The reason, they don't have an instrument to take care of that. So it's laziness on our part. Innovation, we have not think out of the box. So we need to think out of the box and come up with innovative products that will assist these smaller businesses so that they become the big business of tomorrow. Those are my response for now, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I think, are you still asking your question, or we can proceed to the chat? But okay, let me ask some of the questions that are in the chat box. The first one was from Brother Isaac Ahmed, and he said you should elaborate more on Touch Bank Sukuk. The second one, I think that one has been answered. It's about how to make prompt credit available. I think you have answered that in the course of your response to Mr. Adisola's observations. And the last one is basically from Sister Khadijat, who requested for lecture materials, which we hope to pass around thereafter. And then there was also the observation from her that up to now, Jazz Bank has not been able to open letters of credit, whereas it has been possible with other banks, even Wema Bank. What do you have to say on this? Thank you very much.
Well, we don't know the component of the letter of credit that the brother is talking about. And it's unfair to give a response when we don't know the detail of that letter of credit. Every letter of credit will go through the credit committee for approval. if they find anything in it that is not compliant, they will not treat it. Until we're able to know the detail of that, it is difficult to make an assumption at this point. However, there are a number of things that an Islamic bank will not touch in a letter of credit, especially if it's coming from a jurisdiction that they know that is going to dilute their assets, or it's coming from a jurisdiction that they know that is going to bring in some impurity into their own asset. They will find it very difficult to actually deal with those. But we don't know the detail of that. And since we don't know the detail, it would be unfair to start giving hypothesis on why they did or why they did not. That is my response for that on now. But if we know the detail of that, then we can take it up and say, okay, this could be the reason. And if there are any other reason behind that, we can approach the bank directly. And if the brother also feels strongly about this, and he knows that what the business is doing is something that should pass through the Sharia compliance of the bank, my personal details are known by a member of the AMP. He can pass it across to me. I can go with him to Jai's Bank.
On Touch Bank Sukuk.
Yeah. The Touch Bank Sukuk, okay, so like it's a private Sukuk. It's not a sovereign Sukuk. It's not a quasi-sovereign Sukuk. So it is a private Sukuk, and they call it up. They offer it at 1,000 naira per unit, and subject to a minimum of 100 units and a multiple of 50 units thereafter. So if you see the initial, and it's a 5-year Sukuk actually, so the tenure is 5 years, and I think the rental is about 15%. They've launched the first series. The second series they've launched the first series on the 20th of September 2022. Yeah, that's it. They launched it 20th September 2022. If I still have my record right on that. And so what they wanted to use the Sukuk to do to help them develop their branches across Nigeria. They want to use the Sukuk to develop their branches across Nigeria. So that is what they're using the Sukuk for. And so it means that the Sukuk will have 5 years tenure anytime it is launched. But again, hello?
We are with you, sir.
Okay, yeah. So I saw the string blank, that's right. Okay, so another thing they're doing is that the Sukuk is not like the federal government Sukuk. Okay? The Sukuk of the federal government is an Ijara Sukuk, which is a lease rental Sukuk. While theirs is a profit sharing Sukuk. So it's a Mudaraba Sukuk. So Mudaraba means there are two parties. There's an entrepreneur who is a Mudarib, and there is a owner of fund who is a Robul Mal. So the Robul Mal is you that you are buying into the Sukuk, and Taj Bank is the Mudarib. So they will use it to operate, they will use the money to start a branch, and the profitability of the branch within the tenure of the Sukuk is what they affect at 15% that they will be able to share with you. If you need further discussion on this, beyond this, because Sukuk is such a large stuff, inshallah, anytime feel free. We can talk about it, and or you can even search Jubril Salaudeen and do Sukuk. Just put on Google Jubril Salaudeen Sukuk. You'll see a lot of materials, as well as research materials that I've written about Sukuk. And you'll find a lot about Taj Bank in it as well. But if you want to have a one-on-one discussion, please feel free to contact me, and I'll take that up as well. Say, my daughter just got an MSc degree in MashaAllah. Allah bless it.
Thank you.
University of Dundee, Scotland. What's her prospect for a good job in Nigeria? She intends to get a PhD in the same field, but currently having issues with grants. There are a lot of grants, especially for PhDs and postgraduate. There are a lot of grants on Islamic financing around the world. And in terms of job, I always advise that they take the courses that enables them to also have a year out practice in in terms when they're doing their studies. So please, brother, my detail is with the team. You can send a mail to me, and inshallah, I can send in some grants offering institution in the area of Islamic finance. I can share it with you, and she can apply. And if she has trouble also in terms of application, she can contact me, and I can link her with the registrar of the Nungu Business School, and they can help her out in how she also needs to apply for them, inshallah. Allah bless her learning. What's the difference between Sukuk and treasury bills? Sukuk are there's a difference, and there are similarity and there are differences. Because you can look at Sukuk as a bond, but one that is Sharia compliant. Every other properties that a bond will share, a Sukuk will share it, except that it is now Sharia compliant. Thank you.
The last question.
Sorry, I didn't get that. You want to?
There's a last question here, please. Is how do we improve on the experience of takaful exits when contribution matures? Is that it has always been
well, when you look at, okay, so I think we have one takaful company in Nigeria that is just giving us trouble. Every other ones have been doing fantastically well. I know that no takaful, within 24 hours, you get your claim. In fact, I got my claim less than 24 hours. And I can speak very highly about them because I've also recommended them to some organizations, and the report that has come to me has been very, very remarkable. In fact, one of them made me cry because when the brother died, when Allah called the brother to himself, they had a group life takaful. And it is one thing also that I think AMP should take a look at. They had a group life, their Association of Muslim Lawyers in Abuja. And so they had a group life. When they were to have it, they contacted me, and I said we should call all the takaful company. And after the discussion with all of the takaful company, they zero in on no takaful. They lost a brother, one of their lawyers. May Allah forgive him and grant him rest. They were able, no takaful was able to pay them within 24 hours of the provision of the certificate of death. Within 24 hours. And I was actually out of the country. The brother called me and said, Allahu Akbar, this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. And Alhamdulillah. So, and I also have a stint with Jaiz Bank, and I know that Jaiz Bank also pay out within 2 or 3 days, they pay out. The major challenge we have is African Alliance. A lot of people have had their money trapped in African Alliance in the last 6 to 8 months. And we're engaging them at industry level. We're also engaging their management. And we're also talking to them that, look, if you know you're no longer interested, can you just pay off people and get out of this business? They were doing well until they brought a lady MD to them who was a Christian, and she started messing up the place. So we're engaging them, and we'll continue to engage them at the auspice of the Institute of Islamic Finance Professional. At that level, we're also engaging them. As takaful ambassadors, we're also engaging them. Personally, I've sent them about 2 or 3 letters telling them that they should freeze people of this and also make sure that they pay the money out. So the major challenge, when you ask most of the people who have challenge with payment today, is with African Alliance Insurance. And we are aware of it. And the industry is taking position on it. And if by the end of September, they promise September 15th, October 15th, if by the end of October 15th, they're not able to do anything, then we have to go and sit down with them with NICOM. Because we've hinted NICOM about it, and NICOM said we should write a petition about it to them, and they can take it from their shareholders fund.
Thank you very much. I think the missioner can offer the closing prayer in the absence of any further questions.
Well, alhamdulillah. والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We want to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the opportunity He has granted us today to have our beloved brother, Brother Salaudeen Muhammad Jubril, whom Allah in His infinite mercy has given to us as a gift in Islamic Ummah, bestowed knowledge upon him, and make him be one of those that will use the knowledge in promoting the purpose for which he has been created, that is to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah to accept all that he has done today as ibadah, put it on the scale of his good deeds on the day of resurrection, and be one of those things that Allah will use to score him high on that day, to make him an image of Al-Jannah Firdaus after he has lived long and a very happy and successful life in this world. May Allah bless his children. May Allah forgive all his late parents who strove so high to bring him up, to train him in the cause of Allah, and follow their teachings. And all the ustaz, the imams, these malams, who has actually encouraged him to see that he does what he's doing. Because most of the time when we discuss, my malam used to say this and this and this. What have you done? What have you done? So every day is always busy and seeing, have I done enough? Have I done enough? May Allah make you to be able to do enough. And may Allah accept everything we are doing as ibadah from you. All of us too have taken our time to listen to this. Most of the most difficult lecture to attend most of the time is the virtual one, because we don't see ourselves. So if we just put their name and they will not be there. But for those of us that Allah has made it easy for us to concentrate and to listen to what he has said, may Allah accept as ibadah from all of us to do. We should all try as much as possible. Like I've said, I think we need to create more awareness, even we the imams in our mosque, in our gatherings, that okay, how much of your fund do you have an Islamic banking? What's important? If we don't do that, it means we are helping others to go against Islam. So we must try our best to see that, you know, all our members of the family, our friends, our businesses, we try to put our funds in Islamic banking, so that will enhance their incomes too. And more importantly, I think one of the challenges we have in the Ummah is the challenge of trust and integrity. And that is what Islam actually stands for. Amana, everything's amana, is trust and integrity. So if they cannot finance anybody, it's because there's no trust and there's no integrity. And if you don't have that, then what is the sense of our praying? What is of proclaiming that you are Muslims? So what Islam wants from us is trust, integrity, and sincerity, and honesty in everything we do. So we pray to Almighty Allah to enhance our faith, to make us be able to walk in His ways and do that which He has created for us, to be model for other people to emulate. May Allah continue to help Islam, elevate the status of Islam wherever we are. May Allah forgive all our sins. Take care of our children, especially in this period now, with what's happening all about. You know, where we have children trying to kill their parents after taking a lot of drugs. A lot of things are happening. Especially in this Ikorodu here. The parents complaining that children want to kill them after taking drugs. So it's a state of emergency on this drug. We ask as to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we beg you, request you, beseech you, please take care of our children, take care of them, prevent them from joining bad groups or groups that will influence them negatively. Take care of our children, bless them and guide them to the right path. And some parents who are good Muslims too, facing this kind of challenges, Allah, we ask you to intervene in their lives. Change all these children to good. Give them happiness, give them joy. Let this children be the apple of their eyes, this world and hereafter. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. Pray for our nation, Nigeria. May Allah continue to bless this nation. May Allah bless the leadership. May Allah guide them to the right path, and we the followers too. Allah make it easy for us to do what is right. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا وأخطأنا. ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا. ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا وانصرنا على القوم. ربنا إننا سمعنا مناديا ينادي الإيمان أن آمنوا بربكم فآمنا. ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار. اللهم آمنا في نيجيريا، اللهم آمنا في نيجيريا، اللهم آمنا في أوطاننا. اللهم اجعل بلدا آمنا وارزقنا من الثمرات، اجعل بلدا آمنا وارزقنا من الثمرات. رب اجعل بلدا نيجيريا آمنا وارزقنا من الثمرات إنك أنت على كل شيء قادر. عليك توكلنا وإليك نبنا وإليك المصير. فلا تدع لنا في مقامنا هذا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هم إلا فرجته ولا دينا إلا قضيت، ولا مريض إلا شفيت، ولا مريض إلا شفيت، ولا مريض إلا شفيت، ولا مسافر إلا رجعت، ولا دين إلا قضيت، ولا دين إلا قضيت، ولا دين إلا قضيت، ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا هي لك رضا لنا بالسلام إلا قضيتها ويسرتها يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصل وسلم وبارك على حبيبك ونبيك محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.